Oh, hello everybody. Take 3 of Vicky trying to do a voiceover. Graham's out at the moment, and I have got 2 very noisy lads that are about to get their tongues stapled to their top lip. So I'll try one more time, and then I'll wait until Graham comes home. So, hi, like I said, what we're doing today is we're doing some window envelopes. It started out that I was going to use the business envelopes that I'd coffee dyed, and I was going to make some business envelope pockets. But when I looked at them, I thought, oh, you know what? All the acetate, it's all crinkly and it's wrinkly and it's not real clear, and I didn't think that they were good enough to do it. So, in my wisdom, I photocopied one of the envelopes onto a 200 GSM cardstock to make a template. So what I'm doing here is I'm just tracing around to get the placement for where I want to cut the window. So it's a mass make, of course it's me. There's 12 of them. So I've gone through and done all the 12, and it's like kind of here I'm trying to cut out precision. It's like taking a chainsaw when all I needed was a little pair of secateurs. Oh, there you go, I figured it out. So we're just cutting out the apertures here. So we'll just go through while that's happening. I am really, really sad that I haven't been around for a couple of weeks. I have this, and we all do this need to apologise, but it's a situation where I can't do anything about it. And while I'm really sorry that I haven't been able to get myself together enough to do some videos, I am just primarily sad. Please know that I love our channel. I miss not having contact with you all. Hi Celeste, I've been missing you, and to everybody else, Kelly, that pop in and watch my videos. I shouldn't have named names, should I? So please forgive me if I didn't mention your name. You all are very important to me. So I miss doing these. What I'm trying to work on is the way it happens in our house at the moment. The videos are the first thing to go. What I'm working on is that the videos will be the last to go. So I've cut out all 12, and now I'm going around and I'm inking up. Now the inking up serves 2 purposes here. It gives a definition, which I like, so it defines between where the window stops, and the acetate and the feature behind it shows up. Plus, also, if you've got any little sort of like imperfections in your cutting, I don't know how else to put it, the inking around it will just make it look a lot more uniform. Now I've got the acetate here for the windows. This acetate is very thin. It is absolutely brilliant, and I got it from my friend Sue's shop, Paper Inspirations. I'm not sure if it's in stock at the moment. If not, just click to say you want to be notified when it comes in, and she will notify you, pending if she can get it, of course. Just because we want things, it doesn't necessarily mean it's always available. So she sells them in the little packs, and they're really brilliant. So thank you for that, Sue. So I'm just cutting out a few at a time, just so that I've got them all there ready to use. So that's just what I'm doing at the moment. This is our happy place. So what we're going, before I start saying that, I'm just going through now, and I'm just gluing all the acetate in place. Those of you who know me know that I don't enjoy the best of health, but I'm also very, very blessed that what's wrong with me is manageable. So I go, and because this is our happy place, I don't really want to dwell on this too much. We've all got our problems, but just way of explanation for those that haven't heard it before. In in essence, my body works on like a 4-month rotation. So I go into hospital for a week, I get treatment, I come home, and I'm good to go again. So now I'm on the downhill slide into October before I go in again, and I'm also back to having medical procedures under anaesthetic pretty regularly from I don't know, the last week in August, and it'll go through until I go into hospital. So that kind of is I'm up to that, doing part management in my in my cycle, as it were. But having said that, I have an amazing life. I have beautiful, very caring, and very clever medical people that look after me. So all is well. It's just by explanation of why I just go missing sometimes. So I'm glad to say that I'm coping okay at the moment, and let's just go for it. So what I've done here is I've put the front piece of acetate in the envelope, and because I'm using some PET stickers, I needed something to stick the sticker onto, hence the second piece of acetate. And this is just a pretty little piece of lace, as you can see. So I'm putting the lace behind it. And then, because of course you can see through all that, I will be lining the back of it with a piece of coffee paper. Now I'm holding my breath at the moment because this is about as far as I've got before this pear arc up. So let's just hope that they just be quiet. Cody, it's okay. Okay, just calm the farm, man. Oh, anyway, here we are. We're going through. We've also had. I may as well get all my bad news out of the way at the same time, and I'm not going to say too much about this, because if I do, I will, honestly, I'll just start crying again. I don't know whether or not I've put the videos up yet about saying that, oh yes, I did. I told you all the saga of what happened with our Miss Pip when we had to take her to the vet, and her diagnosis, and we took her back to the vet a couple of weeks ago to get her pain needle, her monthly pain needle, and I knew that she wasn't doing very well. I knew in my heart that she was not good, and we had to euthanize her. So we no longer have Miss Pip. So, yeah, we're just adjusting to life without that beautiful, gentle girl. Maybe more on that another time. That would do just for the moment. So I've used printables. Let's quickly change the subject. I've used printables to do these, and I had a really good system of making sure I always had the name of whose printables they were. And like any good system, I mucked it up. And I've got them all confused, and I'm backwards, inside out and sideways, trying to figure out whose is whose. I did try and go through my printable files and try and figure out what was what, and I have struggled. So if you recognise any of the printables that I haven't mentioned, who did them, please put it in the notes for us all. And I do sincerely apologise to those that aren't going to be getting credit for your amazing work. Now, having said all that, I can tell you that this is one of Sue's printables, Nature's Collage, I think it's called. That is another, that might be an SVG. I apologise. I am so sorry. I promised myself that I wouldn't let this happen when I first started going crazy with digitals, Cody. It's okay. Come on, come here. Come on. Don't bark. It's windy and he's hearing all different sorts of noises and he's a little bit on edge. So I'm just sitting here patting him at the moment, trying to keep everybody calm. So this is indeed one of Sue's printables. So I wasn't 100% sure how much I did with each one. So it looks like what I'm doing is I'm putting the pocket together and then I'll come back through and do all the decorating together. The other thing I've been trying to do as well is I'm just scoring this just to get the bottom done now. Now I have done like a policy envelope closure for the bottom, so I'm just doing that. What was I going to say? I'm a little bit absent-minded, aren't I? Oh, I just see, get me off track for a minute, and I don't know what I'm talking about. I think what I was saying is I think I put all the envelopes together and then I go back through and I put tags and journaling cards in here, and I've also done some dangles, so we'll keep watching and you'll see how that all worked out. And I've done the bottom like a policy closure. And I just like that. It's just quite nice and neat and tidy. So I've got a thumb notch up the top. There we go. So I have been sitting here at my desk because this is just my happy place. This is where I live my life. I've never been much of a one for going out a lot, and like millions of other people around the world, I've ended up not wanting to be around people and going out very much. It's sort of like just an aftermath of the pandemic and what we got used to doing. And it looks like I didn't do the bottom. Looks like I've folded it in on itself on that one. So I think I've just closed up the bottoms of them that way, and then on some of them I've done the lap over policy. So I'm sorry. I just, like I said, I've been in here and I've just been sitting here. I've turned the camera on most of the time, and I've just crafted, I've just created, and by doing multiples of the same thing, it's where I find I can rest my brain and I can take myself out of what's going on and make sure I don't start feeling sorry for myself. So I've had huge amounts of footage to have to go through and edit, which is fine. It's not a complaint. It's just an explanation. So then I've been editing and like I think I had about 15, 20 hours, I don't know, 18 hours or something of footage just for these envelopes alone to get edited. So that might be a little bit choppy here and there. So I'm just doing the next closure. Now this one I did definitely do the bottom of it with the wraparound just to close it off at the bottom. I really like that. I like that effect. I think it looks really good. And once again, it's a printable, and the printables that I've got, they're just so beautiful. I thank you to everybody that does digitals. I can only imagine the amount of work that it takes to put digitals together, and the very least I could be doing is making sure I know who's done what to give recognition for them. But anyway, I've already mentioned that, haven't I? So I'm just going through. So like I was saying, I come into my room. I am once again very blessed, lucky, however you want to put it, that I get to spend. This is more of Sue's Nature's Collage digital kit here. and I've gone round and I've just edged it with the gold, and I've used the old gold here. And when I put the gold around the edges, I'm never, like, I try not to just slap it on any old how, but I like it to be a little bit irregular. Like, you know, I don't mind if it's a little bit lumpy in a couple of little spots, and not great dags hanging off it, but it doesn't, it's one place where I think that if it looks a little bit rustic, it actually adds rather than distracts. So that's an oversized tag and journaling card. They are both very big, but I thought, well, why not? And let's fill the pocket up. So that is a second, oh no, that's the same envelope. So it looks like I'm going to be decorating as I go. It would seem that I have no idea what's going on at the moment, wouldn't it? But anyway, and I keep getting distracted and I forget where we're up to and what's going on. So if I repeat myself, I'm really sorry. It's just when you start doing the same thing over and over again and have to start again, you kind of like lose where we're up to. So it's for these ones. I'm really liking the whale tail tabs as toppers for tags these days. I just really do like it a lot. So I've been using them, and as you saw from my little basket, I've got a huge amount of them all cut, ready to go. So I'm just going around and I'm putting that on the top. I think that's what I was saying, because I am really, I've got a beautiful room here. You've all seen it. It's full. Cody, come here. Come on. He thinks he hears something, so he sits up. So I'm just trying to get him before he goes running out barking. So sorry about constantly having to do that, but it's better than deafening everybody with his barking. Louis's bark is just very annoying, and then it kind of like arcs this one up. But when Cody barks, we all can hear it. So, so I've just been coming in here and I've been sitting and I've just been crafting, and I've put the camera on and had it running, and I've listened to music, I've listened to other YouTubers, I have rubbish running just as a distraction. And I like mass making because I can get into a rhythm, and then I just think about what I'm doing, and it all starts to flow for me, and it means that I don't have to worry about how bad I feel, just as a distraction. So I've got, did I say it? I've got anywhere between 15 and 20. I think it's about 18 hours of footage that I had to go through and edit just for this one video. And I've got, I don't know, quite, I don't know, hundreds of hours. I don't know. A lot of footage that I'm now trying to go through and edit and do voiceovers. I'd probably prefer not to do voiceovers, but because of this pair, it works out a little bit better for me to do the voiceovers, because as you know that they do, that they don't bark constantly. They're not dogs that are allowed to bark all day, and they're not dogs that are allowed to bark and just continually go on with it until they think it's time to stop. Couldn't cope with that. I don't like listening to other people's dogs barking all day, and this pair aren't allowed to. But it does mean that they do bark a bit. Now, these are photocopies out of a book that you are allowed to photocopy from. So I'm not breaching a copyright there. And I've just backed them onto some manila folder just to give them a little bit of substance, so that when I put them down, they're nice and firm. Now I'm just putting some gold leaf on there. I am also very fortunate that Graham my husband supports me 100%, and he's been taking care of our shop for us so that I can do whatever it is I do. So I do the photography, and I write a little blurb, and I give him the camera and a little notebook with what's what, and come here, and he lists them for me, and I think he's done an absolutely wonderful job with the way our shop is, and I thank him very much. It's wonderful to have such support, and it allows me to just get on and do the things that I love to do. So these pockets, they will be listed in our shop, but I can tell you that 6 of them have already been sold. Now, without looking at the photos, I can't tell you which ones at the moment, but of course, if you go across to our shop, obviously the 6 that have been sold won't be listed. So it appears that I've decided to I think what I've ended up doing is each pocket that I've put together, I've done. Okay, Cody's just wandering off. We'll just have to cross our fingers, everybody. Cody, come here. Come on. You sit down, please. It's either staple his tongue to his lip or talk to him like this. It's like these animals control my life. So anyway, these, like I was saying, these will be, I'm hoping that by the time you're looking at this, they will already be in the shop. If they aren't, just pop back and have a look in a day or so, because they should be up. We have had a very, very sad time of it. I don't want to say too much about it at the moment, because I probably would just start crying again. I had told you about our little exploits about Miss Pippa and her going to the vet and hospital visit for Graham, and it was all really quite a little bit funny and a little bit sad all in one go. And I guess we thought it was just a little bit of funny out of sheer relief that we thought that Pips would be okay. And I was saying to you that every 4 weeks that we would have had to have been taking her back to get a pain injection. Well, we took her back to get the first of the monthly, well, it was the second actually, because she got one before she come home last time. We took her back down, and I knew that she wasn't very well, but I was hopeful that with the pain meds on board that she would be okay. I knew but didn't want to acknowledge it, and a beautiful, beautiful vet, a lovely man called Sydney, we had to euthanize Pips. So we're going through the process of getting used to life without her. I don't really want to say too much more at the moment, because I will start crying. I do have some footage of her in a video that will be coming up, and maybe I'll talk about her a little bit more then. So we're all getting used to life trying to adapt to life without her. So it's a process, isn't it? We're a bit balmy about our pets in this house. We've turned into those empty nesters that our pets have become our second lot of children coming through. So that's been a really hard journey for us. And even, like I would say, even Louie and Cody, I think that they've been trying to find her. So we're just decorating now. This is the journaling card. Like I said, they're really quite big, and they're lovely. There's a good amount of space on the back of both of them to be able to journal, And with these, they can be glued into your book, and you could glue it down onto the page, or you could just glue it on the three sides and have a back pocket. It will take up most of a page, so it's like a page that you can have a tag behind it, and then you've got the two inside of it, and huge amounts of journaling space is created. Or you could clip it onto a page and have it so that it can come in and out and it can move around. And the other really nice thing about it is it would make a really nice gift. Like if you've got somebody who in your life that you want to send a gift to for whatever reason, or you want to send some happy mail, one of these filled with some bits and pieces, along with the tag and the journaling card that's in there, it makes a great happy mail. I think it's just a little bit too big for a standard business letter, but I don't think it'd really cost that much to send. There's not a lot of weight in it. So we're just now going to decorate the front of the pocket, I do believe. No, that's the journaling card. Now you'll see me fiddling around with my tweezers. There's a little bit of a funny story about that. As it's quite obvious, my hands are deteriorating, and they're not the most attractive hands in the world anymore. So I've been thinking that I am going to get clunkier. My fingers, even now at times, don't like to cooperate. So I thought, how about we try and get used to using tweezers now, while I've still got fairly good dexterity, and I can use my fingers. I have to adapt and change, and they ache and all the rest of it. But the fact of it is, I can use my hands and my fingers at the moment. But further down the track, it's going to get a little bit more and increasingly more difficult for me. So I thought, you know what? Perhaps I need to get used to using tweezers. Well, I hope I don't frustrate you as much as I frustrate me while I'm trying to use them. But and half the time I forget that I'm supposed to be using them, and then sometimes, oh, can you hear the birds singing? I think it's going to tell us that it's been a little bit stormy, but we haven't actually had any rain with it. But the nights have dropped right down and have been really, really cold. Like I didn't sleep last night for whatever reason, and I ended up getting some sleep from, I don't know, about 6 o'clock this morning through till about 10. So I did get some sleep. So I think just sheer exhaustion just shut my body down. So I had a good few hours sleep, so I can't complain. And it's September now, so of course it's windy, and the weather's up and down, and the nights have gone back to being really cold, which is a shame because I need the nights to not drop down, because that's what governs how cold the pool is the overnight temperatures, because it's a deep body of water. It takes a fair bit to get the temperature up. But I don't know, all that because the birds started singing. It's a bit funny, really, isn't it? But on Friday we went off to the nursery and we bought huge amount of plants, from shrubs to a couple of climbers and vegetable seedlings, flower seedlings. So while I did do some, I think I was more of a supervisor, and she who was getting underfoot a little bit in my endeavour to wanted to be able to help and to be involved, because I've always loved gardening. And out the back, um, our house is set into like a court, and we're on the bend of the circle at the end. So we have a wider frontage, and we don't really have a lot of backyard at all. So you walk out onto our patio, which is a huge, huge area, and then the back fence, our boundary fence at the back, is just really, I don't know how many meters. I'll have to take a little video walk around. So we planted, I've got a long planter box along the back fence, and then we've got a vegetable garden, and then we had some pots, and we've front garden that just had nothing in it. It sort of like followed the veranda. We've got a bullnose veranda, and it's got a it's got a really nice street presence. It's like a cottage. So we had all these plants, and over 3 days we Graham dug over the garden along the fence, which I've wanted it to be like a little bit more whimsical and English garden, cottage garden look. So we bought a couple of extra vines to fill in some gaps. We had planted it before, and for whatever reason, we just let it grow wild, which was really good. It looked great. The whole fence was just covered. It was like a living wall, and it looked fantastic. But a marshmallow weed got in there, which is very invasive, and it chokes out and it kills whatever else is in the garden. So it was allowed to get established. So by the time we got round to doing something about it, we had lost quite a bit of the, the vines and foliage, and we sort of like almost had to start again. So we planted along there, and we've got a lovely little vegetable garden, and we've had to put a little fence around it. Like, it is built up, like it's raised up area, but Master Louis decided that he really loves the taste of blood and bone, and the gypsum and the lime that we put into the ground. And like $2,500 or whatever it was later, and an overnight visit to the hospital. Had to have his stomach pumped and on a drip all night to try and get rid of the toxins and the poisons that he put into his body, because we didn't pick up on it. Because, Cody's such a relaxed dog. I mean, he doesn't go around and lick all the bags of the fertilisers when they're on the ground. So Graham tends to, like, when he opens a bag, he spreads it out and he just throws all the rubbish out onto the ground, and then does a pick up at the end of the session. Well, without us realising it, Louis went through and just licked the bags and ate, and I had a grand old time, and he really did make quite a mess of himself. So he just basically poisoned himself. So to stop that from happening, because we were lucky that we were able to just get him treated and he was okay. But who knows what could happen if he just ate that, or licked that just that little bit too much. Might not have been able to get the toxins out of his body. So we've got a little fence around it now, and he can't get in there. So we planted our veggies. So I'm just going through here, getting back to crafting and what we're doing. I'm going through and I'm decorating everything as I go now. So that's that one, and I'm just showing you each one. And what I've done is I've just kept in snippets of a few of them just to show you. That's one of Susan Mushroom Kit. That's one of her digitals. Now, she doesn't have her digitals in an Etsy shop. She has a web shop. So if you go in to her shop, you'd be able to pick up her digitals there. That's beautiful. Now, the one on the left, I think that might be the journal boat, maybe. SVA something or other, these ones. So I'm just showing you some of the different decorating that I've done. I've gone crazy for all those little people that you see everywhere now. I think they're pretty funky. So rather than you having to sit there and watch all 12 of them being decorated and sorted, embellished and tidied up, I've just tried to give you a look of each one and just having a little bit of footage of all the different stages. I do believe that's what I've tried to do. So that's all the footage that I've kept and what I've shown you now of the 12. So you can imagine it's a huge undertaking. I had 12 pockets, and then there's 12 tags and 12 journaling cards, and it's quite a lot, and I love it. I love every minute of it. So now I've decided, because the job wasn't big enough, that it would look nice if those big tags had a dangle off them. I mean, some of the tags we do, they're like, quite, they're robust, but they're delicate looking and they're not that big. So you sort of don't want too much hanging off them, or it just looks like it's just going to break because there's too much. It looks like it's trying to support too much. So I've gone through. This is a field notes stamp. It's anonymous field notes, the destination, and that little sticker that you just saw, you can see them all lined up there. They're quite flimsy. So what I've done is because I want these to be off a dangle, they need to have a little bit of substance about them. So I'm just showing you, I've got some cogs out, the ball and chain. Is it ball and chain? Oh, it doesn't matter. The chain there, and I've got some little acetate letters and numbers, and I've got all my bits there. And I've gone through and I've stuck down the things that I want to be tags. So it's a matter of just going through now. And the other thing that I've realised, and I'm trying really hard to be conscious of it and be aware of it. I've looked at some of my videos, and because I do successfully get myself in a heck of a mess when I'm embellishing or when I'm making things. Things keep just piling up and piling up. And of course, when you're doing dangles or embellishing, you have so many bits and pieces just to make one dangle that it all becomes quite congested. And I did notice, it's all right, Cody, come on, chill out, mate. I'm not going to redo this from here now, trust me. So I did notice that when I was, just one thing on what I'm doing here. I'm a sewer and a quilter, as well as lots of other things. But I find when I want to get exact results from what I'm cutting, I do tend to resort back to my quilter's rules and my rotary blade, and I find it the quickest, easiest way to get, and the most accurate way to get things cut out. Now, if you just have a look at the yellow rotary cutter that I've got sitting to my right, what's happening there is really, really very wrong, and it's something that you shouldn't do. I've put the cutter down and I haven't put back the blade. Those little blades that are in there are very, very sharp. So for example, if I was to knock that off the table, and it fell straight down onto my foot, it would give me a nasty slice in the skin. So don't do what I'm doing. Whenever you put your blade down, close it. Close it so it's back in the guard. It's the only safe way to do it. And I just, that, seeing that there like that is kind of like an indication that I just go off into a little world of my own, and I don't think, I'm just chilling and doing what I'm doing. So back to what I was saying, I've noticed in some of my past videos where I'm working is that surrounded by that much stuff, by so many bits and pieces, I found it difficult to sort out where and what I was working on, because, like I said, there was just so many things around. So I have decided that I needed to have a concentrated effort to try and keep like a clean space around me. And what I've taken to doing is like putting a piece of paper. Like, we usually always had a piece of paper that I work under. Like, my idea of cleaning a stamp is just to stamp it down onto a piece of paper until the ink doesn't transfer anymore. So I've always tended to have a piece of paper near me. So I've been trying to have a piece of paper that designates a working area to try and keep all my stuff out of the way so that you can actually see what I'm working on. Now, I've used this on quite a few of them, and because my fingers are a little bit clumsy, I've spared you the agonies of watching me thread them and then trying to get the little closure done. So I thought it was the best bet. Just how it's done. You just thread on whatever you want on your dangle and then close it. So I didn't think you needed the agonies of watching me do it. So I've put the ball and chain on these ones that I've put an eyelet in. And what I've taken to doing, and I've been doing it for a little while now, I've been using strips of leftover fabrics. This one happens to be a homespun, and it's quite thick. So by the time you loop it or tie it off to stop it from going through, it's really, really thick. And if you're writing in your journal and you hit one of these lumps that could be 6 pages ahead of where you are, you can't write. You have to actually move it. So I decided to keep it as flat as I could. I've taken to just sewing across the width of it just to stop them from pulling through. Now, the other thing I've done, and I'm a little bit proud of it, I tore myself in pieces when I first started doing it. Like, I'd sew across it and be crooked, or it'd only sew halfway across, and I'd cut the piece of fibre out, and then I'd do it again and I'd do it again until I got it just perfect the way it's supposed to be. So I've grown a little bit. When I stitch it off now, I'm like, that's going to hold. It's not doubled up, it's not bulky. It's a junk journal and it is just fine. So the others that I didn't put an eyelet in, I've put like a ruffle across the top of the tag, and I've gone to a little bulb pin and I've threaded bits and bobs and what have you, and I've just then pinned it into like in this particular case it's a ruffle. So all of this that I'm using, they're all scraps. And I was thinking about me and my scraps. I'm like I said, I'm in a time in my life now where I can afford to buy some things new that I really like and I want to use. But I haven't always been in that position going through life where, Like I picked up a needle, a hand needle and thread when I was 7 and mended a rip in my dressing gown, and my mother's like, yeah, I don't think you can do that, Vic, because my mum didn't sew. Getting a needle threaded to do a button was more than what her patients could cope with. She could do it, but reluctantly and not with grace or patience. But I decided that I only ever had like this little tin with some needles and some assortment of threads, like a black and a white, and that was about all that was in it. So I found this tin that my mum had when I don't know, 7. I was 7 or it might have been 9. Look, I'm not quite so sure, but it was single digit age. And my mum sort of said, well, you can't do that. You're not old enough. And she didn't sew, so I decided that I was going to sit there, and I had an L-shaped tear in one of those old chenille dressing gowns, and I mended it, and my mum's gone, that's pretty good. And bless my parents' hearts, there was never any sort of like spare money floating around in our house, so there wasn't a lot of resources for me in the way of crafting, art, sewing, because it wasn't something that my mum did, and she used to think that she was just hopeless. But as it turned out, as she found out many years later, she wasn't hopeless at all. So I don't know why I started saying that. I think to say that I've got lots of bits and pieces of scrap fabric from the quilting and from sewing, and that's right. I'm very frugal. I'm not good at throwing things out. I mean, we've all laughed at the silly little scraps that I've kept and what have you. So it is what it is. Now I'm going to run out of time now, and I'm still talking away. So I'll come back to telling you about my mum and how clever I think she actually was without her realising it. So I'm just finishing up now, doing the last bits and bobs. The end of it sort of snuck up on me here, so I have to cut my ramblings short. So there's 12 of these. I've got dangles on all of them. Each pocket has got a tag and a journaling card. And like I said, they will be in our shop. So as I spread them out for you to have a look at, there you go. I will say, be kind to yourself, and please be kind to the person standing next to you. And until next time, take care. Bye for now.